Oh, yes. Hello and welcome to the Daily Mill for Sunday, the 21st of September 2025. In today's Mill news, we must start with the sad details coming out that Matt Beard has passed away. Matt Beard, if you don't know who he is, this is the BBC story, bbc.co.uk, but there are many tributes to him from the FA, Women's Super League, ESPN, Reuters, all around the world. Sky News, tribute to him and what he did in the women's game. If you don't know about him, he is the younger brother of Mark Beard, the central defender, who played for Millwall, started at Millwall, scored that goal against Arsenal in the cup in the 90s. Much like Japhet Tanganga moved on to Sheffield United, not for exorbitant amount that Japhet Tanganga has, but this is his younger brother. So he also has a Mill connection. He started out in women's football with the Millwall Lionesses. So this is his Wikipedia page. We'll just go through this quickly before we get back to the tribute. So he was reserve team manager at Kingstonian, coaching stints at Tooting and Mitcham, Hampton and Richmond Borough. Then he went to Charlton Athletic Ladies, and then after Keith Bonus moved to Millwall Lionesses, Beard went with him, and he took over the Lioness job when Bonus quit. And he took the Mill Lionesses team to the title and promotion to the top tier. He then moved on after that one season there to Chelsea, who were the big thing at the time, or I think maybe later. I think he helped them become a big thing. Yeah, he won them the 2012 FA Women's Cup final and a third place finish in the FA Women's Premier League. Moves to Liverpool. Got named the Women's Soccer League Manager of the Year in 13 and 14. He left after 3 years, went to America. Didn't have the best of times there. Came back. Got a job with West Ham. He took them to the FA Women's Cup final, where they lost to Man City. And then he left under mutual consent. Went back to Liverpool. They won the championship. But then, this year has been an eventful year for him. Well, clearly. In February, Liverpool sacked him. He got another job with Burnley in June. On August, barely 3 weeks previously, 3 weeks before today, he resigned the job and they publicly put him on gardening leave for 3 months. So he's 3 weeks into his gardening leave and, now he's dead. He died on the 20th. He died yesterday. This is his manager career, so you can see at Millwall for that season. 16 games, 12 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats, 75% win rate. Pretty good. Chelsea, 54% win rate. Liverpool, 55. Disaster in America, really. Although that is a lot of games in a year. 44 games in a year. Well, damn. West Ham, it was 34%. Bristol City, which wasn't mentioned above, 20%. And then second spell at Liverpool, 48%. So there you go. So let's get back. Well, while we're here, honours. Won the Super League twice. Won the Championship once. Manager of the season twice. So, a very good manager in the women's game. So let's have a read of this. Former Liverpool manager Matt Beard has died at the age of 47, the Women's Super League club has announced. Beard led Liverpool to back-to-back WSL titles in 2013 and 14. He returned for a second spell at the club in 2021, but was sacked in February this year. In a statement, Liverpool paid tribute to an extremely committed and successful manager. They added, "He was also a person of real integrity and warmth who will always be remembered with genuine fondness by everyone he worked with at the club. Rest in peace, Matt." After his reappointment in 2021, Beard led the Reds to promotion back to the WSL and helped them to a 7th place finish on their return to the top flight. Beard also managed Liverpool during their first ever Champions League campaign. His brother Mark, who played for Millwall, paid tribute to the most amazing, caring man who was loved by anyone who had the pleasure to meet him. "We will love you forever, Matt," he said in a social media post. The Football Association called Beard a key figure in women's football, adding that its thoughts go out to his family and friends during this difficult time. The Women's Super League posted a tribute on X saying, "Everyone at WSL football extends its deepest sympathies to the family, friends and loved ones of Matt Beard following news of his passing." Matt played an instrumental role in the growth of women's football and will be missed by everyone associated with the game. Beard was appointed Burnley manager in June but resigned after just 2 months in charge. He had previous spells at Millwall Lionesses, Chelsea, West Ham and National Women's Soccer League side Boston Breakers, as well as an interim period in charge of Bristol City. The Clarets paid tribute, saying the thoughts and prayers of everyone at the club are with Matt's family and friends. On Sunday, it was confirmed that Burnley's Women's National League match against West Brom had been postponed. The Women's Super League posted on X to add that a minute's silence will be held before kick-off in the games taking place in both the WSL and WSL2. Millwall Lionesses, where Beard started his managerial career, said in a statement, "Everybody at the club is deeply saddened by the passing of former Lionesses manager Matt Beard. We send all our love and support to his family and friends and colleagues across the many clubs he managed at this very difficult time." LMA Chief Executive Richard Bevan said Matt was a true champion of women's football and dedicated his early career to advancing the game on its path to professionalisation. He played an integral role in the development of players, coaches and the wider game as one of the most active managers in women's football over the past 15 years, achieving success at some of the biggest clubs in the game. And this is now written by a women's football news reporter. Beardy, as he was known to those in the game, was an ever-present in the WSL and a character that lit up the room. He was funny, loud and straight to the point. He was often likened to a giant teddy bear. A loving man from London who gave out hugs to anyone and everyone in the stands, a contrast to the bellowing managers who shouted instructions to his players from the dugout. Liverpool fans were particularly fond of him as he led the club to back-to-back WSL trophies in return for a second spell, guiding them back to the top flight with a Women's Championship title. In the successes, he celebrated hard and happily enjoying a pint or two with staff and supporters in the pub next to Prenton Park, where Liverpool women used to play their home matches. That's the Tranmere ground, isn't it? He invited those of us in the media to join him and discuss further his tactics or what luck was on his side, often teasing us on whether we had been too harsh in the match reports or in our questioning of him in the news conferences. Away from the pitch, he was a family man who always spoke about his children, sometimes joking about how he's struggling to help his son with his maths homework. He told me he wanted to start a podcast where he could discuss the real issues in women's football and what it's really like to be a football coach. He found a cheap deal on some recording equipment online and practiced. There were ups and downs in his football career, but he always cared deeply for his players and the supporters. He will be remembered fondly in the game, and the positive impact he had on the people he worked with will remain for a long time. One of the best humans, players and managers pay tribute. So we have, there's so many here, I can't go through them all, but the Chelsea manager Emma Hayes, Republic of Ireland manager Carla Ward, Gilly Flaherty, who played with him under him at West Ham and Liverpool, Alessio Russo, Arsenal and England midfielder. England and Everton forward Tony Duggan. Olivia Smith, who was signed by Beard for Liverpool before her £1 million move to Arsenal. Missy Bo Kearns, who played under Beard at Liverpool. And Rachel Daly, who played under Beard during a loan spell at West Ham. So, there you go. Sad news. Only 47. Only 47. There you go. Now we move on. Yes, we have to. These are the results from the Championship over the weekend. We're playing on Monday. This is the same match week. So, on Friday, it was Middlesbrough 2, West Brom 1. Queen's Park Rangers 1, Stoke 0. Leicester 0, Coventry 0. Birmingham 1, Swansea 0. Blackburn 1, Ipswich 0, match abandoned. Derby 0, Preston 1. Hull 3, Southampton 1. Sheffield United 0, Charlton 1. Norwich 2, Wrexham 3. Portsmouth 0, Sheffield Wednesday 2. Bristol City 1, Gary Rout's Oxford 3. So some mad results there. Some mad results. You know, Portsmouth, Fratton Park, you know, that was a 3 p.m. kickoff. You'd imagine, you know, they would have it rocking. They lost to Sheffield Wednesday. Norwich were leading. They ended up losing to Wrexham. Sheffield United, you know, they didn't concede that many goals, but they still lost to Charlton right at the end of the game. You know, former Mill player Isaac Alofi scoring a goal. So, you know, fair play to you, lad. He's been on the bench. They haven't been playing him. He's barely, you know, they bring him off the bench, and you know he goes and scores the winning goal. The game at Blackburn was absolutely gushing it down. You may have seen. So was it yesterday, Saturday? We had the wind, awful wind, violent wind at times. That was part of a larger storm that covered the whole country. But we didn't get any rain down here. No, not much. But up in the north, they had torrential downpours all day long, which caused the Blackburn pitch to become crazy waterlogged. And you may have seen it if you watched any of the Manchester United versus Chelsea game. The same thing there. The rain just bucketing down. Yeah. Insane. Now Coventry drawing with 0-0 with Leicester. So Coventry, you know, this is another string to their bow. They've been heavy scorers so far. They scored a lot of goals, but when they go to, you know, contender for a place at the top of the league, they managed to go away and come back with a 0-0 draw. Kept a clean sheet, you know, come back with a draw. And again, Queen's Park Rangers beating Stoke. Stoke are at the top of the table, bizarrely, but they lose to Queen's Park Rangers. And Middlesbrough, it just keeps on going. The Middlesbrough thing keeps on going. So we look at the table. It's only 6 games in. We can't really be looking at the table yet. They say 10 matches, which is round just under a quarter of games, because obviously you've got to play 46 games a season, just under a quarter. But even then, I feel that's when you should start looking at the table. But I think after we played 23 games, and we should have played every team once. I don't know how the fixtures work out. Sometimes it does do it exactly, sometimes it doesn't. After 23 games, if you're in the bottom, in the middle, or at the top, that's generally where you're going to be, I think, because you've played all the teams once. All that happens now is you have to play them again, just in a different order. And it's reversed. So, you know, if you're at the bottom after 23 games, I think you're going to be there or thereabouts. There's not much, you know, fluidity. So let's have a look. So, the only unbeaten teams still, there's only 2 of them. Middlesbrough, 1-5 drawn 1. Coventry, 1-2 drawn 4. They're the highest draws in the division. 6 games, 4 draws. 3 draws in a row. That's not going to help them climb up the table. We are winning and losing, whereas whereas you look at Ipswich, same games as us because their game was abandoned. They've won less games than us, but they've drawn 3, and they're 1 point behind us. Sheffield United, still 0% record. They've only scored 1 goal, which is the worst in the division, and frankly, if it wasn't for them, we would be worse in the division. We are the next worst in the division, joint second worst goal scorers in the division, although we've scored 4 goals in 5 games. Portsmouth and Charlton have scored 4 goals in 6 games, so arguably you could say on a per rota basis they are worse. And they are part of the 2-2-2 gang. 6 games, 2-2-2, 2-2-2, 2-2-2, 2-2-2. There are 4 of those teams. If we draw tomorrow, we will join them. Bang in the middle of the table. Obviously, at this moment, like I said, the table doesn't really matter that much. Although, if you look at the bottom of the table, the teams that most of us expected to be down there are down there. Oxford are down there, Derby are down there, Sheffield Wednesday are down there, Watford are down there, Blackburn are down there. But there are other teams down there. There's Ipswich down there, there's Southampton down there, there's Sheffield United down there. You would imagine that those teams should be able to work things out and climb their way up the table. So that's 3 teams. So if they climb up above us, you drop us down 3. We've got Watford. They're on 5 points. If they win tomorrow, they go above us. And we drop down into the junk, into the bottom. Now, like I said, it's too early to be looking at the table, but that's not ideal. That's not ideal to be doing that. And if we do lose tomorrow, that's going to be we've lost more games. We're going to end up losing 3 games, and we've won and drawn 3 as well. 2 wins and 1 draw. So again, not ideal. I think tomorrow, ideally, we would want to win the game. I think we need to win the game. I'm hoping we do win the game because we've played 2 home games in the league so far. We haven't scored a goal. So and the performance away at Crystal Palace, it kind of signalled that the tide had turned, and maybe the pennies dropped. You would imagine these players, they may be young, but they are not shit. Bangor Williams won the Charlton game. He won it. No, it wasn't a win, it was a draw, but he scored the goal. He came on. He was a ray of light. A rayas of light. The game against Crystal Palace, Bangor Williams, Derek, Kamal Grant, Howland. These people, these players, are not afraid. They may be young, but they can play, and they are not afraid. So hopefully the pennies drop with Alex Neil, and he's not afraid to put them in. We also saw Ballo. Ballo is very, very good player. But we shall wait and see. So, the game tomorrow night, 8 p.m. kickoff. Remember, 8 p.m. Not 7:45, 8 p.m. The game is being shown on Sky channels. What does that mean? What do you mean? There are 2 ways to get Sky: through streaming, which is on Wi-Fi, which is on the internet. So if your box is connected to the internet, you can get the streaming, and that usually means Sky Sports Plus. Although obviously the channels can also be streamed. The channels, though, you can get them through a satellite. If you live in the middle of nowhere, you point your dish up in the sky, at whatever was it, 34 degrees east or whatever it's called, you can pick up the channels with a decoder. And that's what this is. So these are on that. Sky Sports Main Event and Sky Sports Football. It's on the channels. as well as being on the streaming. So it's also on Now TV, it's on Sky Go Extra, Sky Go, Sky Ultra HD. This is from livesoccertv.com, by the way. Wherever you are in the world, that you can watch the game. Now, obviously, you can watch the game on Millwall TV, but the game is being shown locally on the countries that you see here, on these channels that you see here. So in Antigua and Barbuda, it's on Disney Plus Premium Caribbean. It's being shown in Bangladesh, Bulgaria. It's on Play Diema Extra. It's in Canada, DAZN in Canada. It's being shown in Cuba, via Play Denmark. It's in France on My Canal. Setanta Sports 2 Georgia. In Grenada, in Greece, Iceland, Iran, Iraq, Jamaica, DAZN Japan, a fan code in the Maldives, in Montserrat, in the Netherlands, in Norway, in all of these countries, in Somalia, in South Sudan. Haven't they suffered enough? In Tunisia, in the US Virgin Islands, and even in the USA. But this is kind of weird. In the USA, you normally have Paramount Plus, you normally have Amazon Prime Video, and you sometimes have CBS Sports Network. What the hell is Fubo TV? It's on Fubo TV. What the hell is that? I don't know, but it's on it apparently, according to this. So there you go. Now, moving on to this is from EFL.com. It's the pre-match stat pack. See, we are the last match to go. So let's have a read of this. Millwall have won 4 of their last 6 league matches against Watford, drawn 1 and lost 1, twice as many as they had won in their previous 18 matches against the Hornets, which is 1-2, drawn 4 and lost 12. Watford won 3-2 away at Millwall last season. Yes, that was the first game of the season. That shocking display. To be fair, I think Jensen cost us that game. And are looking for consecutive away league wins at the Lions for the first time since January 2012. All 7 points Mill have earned this season have been in away games, winning 2 and drawing 1, losing both at the Den so far. The Lions last lost their first, so if we lose this it will be 3 home games. Well, the last time we did that was in 2015-16, which was the season before we got promoted. Watford have won just 2 points in their last 8 league matches, away league matches. So in their last 8 away matches, Watford have drawn 2 and lost 6. And the game before that, the 9th one, 9 games ago, was a 1-0 win away at Middlesbrough in February. So going back to last season, 8 away league games, they have not won a game. Interesting. Since making his first championship start for Millwall on 23rd of August, only Norwich's Mirko Topic, 25, has won possession more often than Massimo Luongo, 22, with the Australian also ranking first for possession won in the middle third, and second for fouls in this time frame. So there you go. Obviously Massimo Luongo came in a few games into the season, but since he's been playing, if you compare him to other players, he's second for winning possession, first for possession won in the middle of the third, and second for fouls. He has looked good. He does look good. And that's, you either win the ball or you give away a foul. I mean, that's the thing. You would rather that than, he lets the guy run past him. So, no, don't do that, because we got Jake Cooper behind you. So, yeah, don't do that. So, that sounds good. Is he going to be fit? We don't know. We hope so. Although, of the 2 that were missing, Massimo and Kundal, I think Alex Neil did kind of intimate that Massimo's problem was a little bit worse. I think, Kundal just got a kick in the leg, which kind of messed him up. But Massimo's may have been a little bit more involved, so we wait to see. Shame to miss him. He does look like a good player. Whether he can maintain this throughout the season at his age, I don't know. But, you know, I think he was brought in as cover, and, you know, he's been thrown into the spotlight in the deep end, you know, and he's been performing very well. So, there you go. Now, let's get into this. This is the history from fixtures between Millwall and Watford, and we'll just click that and change it so it's all Millwall versus Watford over the years from 11v11.com. So as you can see, it's not a game that we really lose that much as we start off in the 20s and the 30s, you know, going through to the 50s. So we're only up to 1950, only 2 defeats. Up to 1957, only 3 defeats. Up to 1963, only 4 defeats in all of these games, which must be about 20 games. So there's not that many defeats. And then we get to the 1980s and the early 1990s, which was, you know, a zenith moment for Watford. They rose up. They emerged from the primordial swamp of Division 4 with money from Elton John, the recording legend, and, you know, Graham Taylor, the manager. He did a very good job there. That, you know, that helped get him the England job. And that went well, didn't it? But you can see 3 times in a row. 1980 we lose 2-0 to them. That was a cup game, so I assume they must have been in a higher division than us. 1990 we lose 2-0 to them, and Boxing Day 1991 we lose 4-0 to them. So, you know, happy Christmas. How was that? So 3 defeats in a row, 3 games in a row. We don't score a goal. But then, you know, the madness is less than 2 years later, the 6th of February 1993, we win 5-2. We beat them 5-2. And then in October of that year, we beat them 4-1. And 4 days after that, in the League Cup, we beat them 4-3. So we go from having the worst period, the worst spell against them in the history of Millwall versus Watford fixtures, 3 defeats in a row without even scoring a bloody goal, to absolutely smashing the fucking back doors of them. Scoring, what's that, 13 goals in 3 games? Yikes. And then we get into the mid-90s and the early 2000s. Obviously at this time, Watford have been in the top division, roughly. You know, they go up and down a couple of times. They get some decent players in. But, you know, so we do start losing to them more often. And you can see the red L's showing up in the 95, 97, you know, 2004. Obviously, we were preoccupied at that time. Well, that was just after the fall for the fall. So we were all probably queuing up for our cup final tickets around about then, I would imagine. The Monday after, I would imagine. Was it that? Nearer, can you imagine? Do you remember the queues? They went all the way around the stadium. What a day. What a day. Fantastic. But you can see here, look, so this kicks off an awful run against them. We lose 2-1, we lose 2-0, we draw 0-0, we lose 6-1, and that's the worst defeat we've had to them at home. And then 2-0, and it finally gets broken. So was that 5 games? The 6th game we win 1-0, and then we draw 2-2. 2015 we lose 2-0, and then we go on a 4-game run where we don't lose to them at home. 1-0 in the FA Cup, 0-0 in the Championship, 3-0 win, 1-0 win. But last season, again, bizarre circumstances where the goalkeepers basically made 2 fuck-ups and given them the win, which is, you know, which was annoying. But, you know, that's how it goes. You know, we have these transfers and we all get hyped up. We go down there for the first game of the season and then we get served up that game. So that's the history of the fixture. So we wait. Is this, you know, we shot us. Where is it? So this game last season, we shot ourselves in the foot. We probably should have got out of that with at least a draw, maybe a win. So is this an anomaly? You know, quite recently. So recently, you know, the parachute payment money's run out. Elton John's kind of gone into the background. I think he's still involved a little bit, but they've sold most of it to the guy from Udinese. They sack their managers every 2 months. Bizarre circumstances. They must believe in like the great man theory of history, where you just need the right man in. It doesn't matter about systems and processes. Just point like Caesar or Napoleon or Wellington, someone bombastic who can come in and just they do it all on their own. It's nothing to do with all the apparatus behind it. I'm sure that's going to work out for them. All they have to do is keep changing manager every 2 months, and now they'll find their amazing man. I'm surprised they didn't try and get Mourinho, but there you go. Because he did say he wanted to move to London. Watford is close to London. Wouldn't surprise me if he would have took the job. I don't know if they would have paid for it, but that would have been fun, wouldn't it? Mourinho in the Championship, but I don't think he wants to drop down. That's kind of like it's like a buff, like a bad for your prestige if you drop down to the second division. So let's get into the preview and the prediction. So this is from sportsmold.co.uk. Round of applause. Millwall will enter Monday's fixture in 16th position after winning 2, drawing 1 and losing 2 of their last 5 league games this season. The Lions have experienced a drop-off in form since they started the campaign with 4 victories in 5 competitive games, having failed to win any of their previous 3 matches. What? What is that? What? The Lions started the campaign with 4 victories. This makes... Okay, because that makes no sense. You've probably used AI to write it. I'm going to skip down to the team news. Let's hope that's more coherent. Millwall are having to cope with a lengthy injury list that includes Lucas Jensen, Danny McNamara, Alfie Doughty, Casper Denor, Billy Mitchell and Femi Aziz. The Lions are also being without Will Smallbones, Zach Lovelace. Like, he's a junior player. He has no right to be mentioned in the same breath as any of these other players. He's done nothing in the game. Daniel Kelly and Macaulay Langstaff. Neil hopes to have Massimo Longo and Luke Condor available after the duo sat out the FA Cup clash with Palace due to knocks. As for Watford, they are unable to call upon Georgie Chakvadze, Jack Greavesy, Caleb Wiley, MC Wiley, while Jeremy Nagachia is due to a groin issue. You dirty boy. Watford have allowed Othmane Mama to join up with Morocco squad for the Under-20 World Cup in Chile. Pierre Duomo and Namplas Mendy are closing in on a return to fitness, although it remains to be seen whether they be ready for Monday's contest. So what team have they got here? They've got Leonard, Kramer, Cooper, Brian, Negley, Luongo, Kundal, and Maku Ivanovic Coburn. No. I would swap Kundal for Bangura Williams unless one of them. If Luongo is not coming back, put Bangura Williams in there. You've got to probably play Caleb Taylor, I would imagine. So that would mean Kramer plays at right back instead of Leonard. Obviously, Leonard scored the other day. He probably can come off the bench. And Maku, I don't know. Probably swap him out for Ballo. Ballo's shown enough, I think. Maybe play a Maku on the right instead of Negley. And Negley last 2 games has looked not that bothered. And I would probably drop Ivanovic and play Coburn up front on his own. But, they say Millwall won, Watford won. Millwall lost just 1 of their 5 opening league matches, but having gone 3 competitive matches without a victory, we think they could play out a cagey contest against a team that also have failed to win any of their last 3 games, which is why we believe the 2 sides may have to settle for a point apiece. Okay, so let's move on to this. So this is the last 6 games. This is the last 6 games. You can see a lot of yellow cards. 7 goals for them, 5 goals. 7 goals for us. 7 goals for us, 5 goals for them, 11 cards for us, 13 cards for them. Now, that's a lot of cards. Could it be a bit tasty? A bit of a tasty affair? If we do that, and if we do that, you can see, they haven't won away yet, but although Charlton and Swansea, are they that formidable? And they didn't manage to beat them, so they managed to draw away at Swansea, and you would imagine Swansea are better than Charlton. They failed to score against Charlton, which we scored against Charlton. We haven't scored in a league game at home. No, we scored 2 against Coventry. So, the strengths and weaknesses, there they are. So let's get into the prediction from WhoScored.com. And here we go. So, what do they say? And let's get into the match facts first. There have been under 2.5 goals scored in Mill's last 3 games. Yes, true. Millwall scored at least 2 goals in 5 of their last 6 matches against Watford in all competitions. So that includes home and away games. So we can score against them. Yeah, well, some of the players have changed, you would imagine. But if we can't score against Watford, I mean, we might as well give up. Watford have failed to win 9 of their last 10 matches. So they won 1 in 10. I mean, come on. There's a reason why people are tipping them to go down. Or at least be at the bottom of the table. Ryan Leonard sent Millwall to penalties against London rivals Crystal Palace in the Carabao Cup on Tuesday night, but the Lions were beaten from the spot by their Premier League opponents. In the league, Alex Neil's side have picked up just 1 win from their last 4 league outings, and they drew 1-1 with newly promoted Charlton last time out. Watford were unable to find a response to Rayo Morishito's 47th minute goal last weekend as the Hornets were beaten 1-0 on home soil by Blackburn. Monday's visitors are winless in 3 league outings ahead of their trip to London and are still waiting for their first championship win on the road this season. And they say Millwall 1, Watford 2. No, Millwall 1, Watford 0. Yeah, like I said, I think you want to hope that the tide has turned. That after that display against Crystal Palace, which was our best display of the season, that maybe some things have clicked in the players and in the coaching staff, and they put these players in, Bangor, Williams, Derrick, Kamal Grant, Ballo, Howland. They can play. They played against the Premier League team. Does he go with the, what was it, what did he call it? 3-1-4-2-1 or something like that. Again, we need to keep the pressure up the pitch, which isn't like pump it long to two big men. I think we need the build-up play that we had at Crystal Palace, which was pretty good, to be fair. So depending on the formation and depending on the team that goes out, I'm expecting a win. I am expecting a win. If it was a draw, that would be kind of upsetting, but not surprising if it was a 1-1 draw. And I would imagine that would be because we didn't score the second goal. So I'm expecting probably a 2-1 win. Yeah, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was a 1-1 draw. So there you go. On that note, thank you for watching and goodbye.